Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Sander and Jess Valentine.
Hey, Kate, how can people get more Seltzer Squad in their lives?
We have finally launched our Seltzer Squad Patreon, where you'll be able to get early access to episodes on Wednesdays instead of Fridays, our monthly bonus episode. And if you really love us and you're the slickest bitch around, you will also be able to see video podcast recordings.
I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want more Kate and Jess in their lives?
But in all seriousness, it really does help us move the podcast forward.
Yes. Subscribe at patreon.com/Seltzer Squad and help us keep this pod going.
Nat, welcome to the pod.
Kate, I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so excited to tell you about our new sponsors for the new year.
Who is it?
So we have Brainwashed Coffee, and Brainwashed Coffee is amazing because 50% of all of the proceeds support addiction recovery. One of my sober treats this year was an espresso machine, so I'm really excited to use Brainwashed Coffee to make some lattes. Brainwashed has a 20% off discount when you use the code Seltzer Squad at checkout. It's brainwashedcoffeeco.com. Use the discount code at checkout, get 20% off. Let's all get caffeinated and crush our goals.
Yeah, stay caffeinated.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jess. What are you
How
drinking?
are you? Cheers.
Cheers.
What are you drinking?
Ooh, matcha? I'm just having water.
This is a TikTok special. It is a venti matcha with 3 pumps of chai.
Nice. From
I saw it on the
Starbucks for
TikTok.
those who can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to talk about today?
Well, you actually brought up a pretty
I
fun
did bring it up.
topic. Well, fun topic,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like actually what you want to talk about. It's about people who got sober during the whole COVID lockdown, quarantine, pandemic.
Yeah, unprecedented
And
global pandemic.
yes, and now trying to slowly intricate that is intricate. That's not a word. I made that word
Assimilate?
up.
Unsure.
Yes, sure.
Mhm.
Slowly getting back into real life
Socialization.
and trying to do that sober and what that looks like. And let's discuss that.
So I've had a couple of squad members reach out to me about their their new firsts since the pandemic hit. And I thought it was interesting because although you and I don't have that experience, I'm sure many people are not alone, as many people decided to make the decision to try and get sober, stay sober,
Yeah.
be sober curious during the pandemic. And because there was no like outward peer pressure, everybody got to kind of like stay home and fall apart and work on themselves. And, you know, we've had at least a couple of our closer friends who have gotten sober during the pandemic. And it's interesting because she told us that she just celebrated 9 months. It's like weird because we've been in the pandemic for over a year now.
For 9 months. Yeah.
And 9 months of that, she was drinking for the first 3 months of it and then got sober. So she's been completely sober during this. And as she's sort of she's going back out I'm going to call it the wild, as she's going back out into the wild and having experiences and meeting new friends and old friends, she's pointed out some interesting things about. I remember she texted me the first night that she met somebody for like a socially distanced dinner, but it was allowed at an indoor place where they had like limited seating. And she was like, this is the first time that I've been in a bar. And that's interesting to think about because I haven't been in a bar in a year either. I mean, not that I really went that many times before. Did you? When was the last time you were in a bar? I don't remember the last time I was in a bar. I mean, even to eat.
It's funny because as you were saying this, I was trying to think of the last time. Yeah, I mean, exactly. I've had food, but honest, I don't know. I could not even tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been in a bar, like even to get food.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been at restaurants that had a bar at it, but not like a bar restaurant, just a restaurant that's, I don't know. I couldn't even tell you.
So that's what sort of got me
the last
thinking
time
about.
I sat my fat ass on a bar stool.
Yeah. So that's what got me thinking about this as an example. And then our friend, I'll just say Elle, she texted me one night late and said, so I got invited to my first social gathering. Like, I don't want to say post-pandemic because we're still in the pandemic, but it was like a socially, I don't know. She went to a party. I don't really know the deets, but she said it was from her sort of past life friends or pre-sobriety friends. And she has a year under her belt already, but she had kind of been in the closet about her sobriety. And she goes to this dinner party and she said she had a major meltdown in the car on the way there because she was so anxious. And she told me that she got there and she ate 5 desserts and she just kept shoveling food into her face. And then she cried in the car and went home and felt terrible. And she said it was awful. Yeah. And I said to her, but you won. Like, you won. And she was like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, no, but the only goal of that whole expedition was to not drink around people that you used to drink with. So as long as you didn't drink alcohol, like, you won. And she's like, I feel terrible. And I'm like, I think that's normal.
You won.
Yeah. But you won. Not only did you survive a pandemic, you got sober, you stayed sober, and you are now trying to re-socialize with people who were problematic for you before. And you managed to not be triggered enough to drink alcohol. And, you know, not that we recommend binge eating, but like, it is a tool that is not alcohol.
Yes. 2 things. One thing, this is often a tangent. You, for anyone watching this or Patreon people, you've got, oh my God, Kate has these 2 it looks like she was slashed by a fucking vampire or
I
something.
do this when I'm nervous, but
Scratching your chest.
It's springtime, so now I'm showing skin.
I'm like worried about her chest.
No, I'm good.
And okay, 2, my other thing was, I think that something that's going to be really difficult for these people is this is all stuff that we basically went through right in the very beginning of our sobriety. You know, like what, 30, even like less than 30 days, you're still trying to like see your friends and stuff. And these people they've done a lot of the work as far as not picking up for 9 months, a year, whatever. And now it's like a new hurdle, which for us, it was one of the first hurdles.
Yes.
So it's very interesting.
It's like reverse almost because you got to do the hiding because everybody was hiding during quarantine. And now, oh my God, my cat. Oh my God. My cat just peeked his head in and scared. I'm home alone and he scared the shit out of me. I'm sorry. Nat, you can choose to leave that in or not.
No, leave it in. Leave it in.
But yeah, they were hiding and now they just get like released into the wild where everybody's been pent up and like can't wait to go out and do things and like resume, you know, friendships and like eating dinner together. That it is going to be difficult, but hopefully I don't know. I mean, do you come out of that like immediately with new boundaries saying like, oh yeah, by the way, it's been a year. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I'm spiritually actualized. Like, what would you tell somebody? Because I just said, like, you did it. You did the right thing. And the next time you probably won't eat 5 desserts and you probably won't cry in the car because you will be somewhat familiar with the feelings that are going to come up. And then you also get to evaluate, like, did you even enjoy those people? Would you do it again sober? You know, like, did you feel obligated to go because they were your old friends and maybe you don't necessarily need those friendships to be what they are anymore? Like, there's a lot of different ways to think about the dynamic.
Yeah, I think that for someone that's maybe in baby sobriety, they're dealing with what we dealt with in infant sobriety. So we were able to kind of, I don't want to say necessarily cut those people out, but yeah, you can pick and choose like, okay, I don't think that this person is someone that I really need to be hanging out with anymore because they make me feel triggered or it just brings up too much. And since we were all in quarantine and stuff, this is people that they may have still been talking to for the past year, just haven't seen in public. And so it's kind of like a delayed reaction, right? And this might make their friends kind of be like weird, like, why is so-and-so like not trying to like reach out as much? But I don't know. I feel like it's the same when you were like, how do you tell these people? It's the same as when we did it. It's just that they haven't seen each other in like a year.
Yeah, I feel like you can come out and be like, this is the new me because so much time has passed that you can come out with like new boundaries.
Yeah, I feel like
I came back out being like, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore, you know? And like, granted, I'm sure some of those boundaries will be tested, but I feel like I had a renewed sense of my own priorities, I guess you would call them, of like what I am willing to do and what I'm not willing to do in my work life and my social life and my professional life, all of the above. But I think the important distinction to make for those listening who have started to, go back out into the world is to know that like there is no right way to have that go down. Like it's going to be a lot of foreign feelings. It's going to be a lot of anxiety because you're not going to know what to expect. You're not going to know how people are going to perceive you. But the other thing I said to her, she said someone mentioned to her that she met them and they said like, oh, I have met you before, which is like everybody's worst nightmare because that means
That's happened to me.
And I was like, but did you take a little bit of pride being your collected self at this party, being your like composed, cute self versus like your sloppy, annoying, pestering, like drunk self? Because I take a little bit of like, when I present now with higher self-respect, even if I was a mess before, there feels like a separation from like that Kate and this Kate. And so where I'm like, oh yeah, totally. Like I was a mess then. And then you can kind of move on from that. Like that's a mean, condescending comment, number one. But number two, it rolls off my back a little bit better because I have nothing to be ashamed about anymore.
Yeah. At the time that happened to me that I recall was at like a friend's house and I was still drinking. I just wasn't drunk yet that night. And Steph was like, oh, whatever. This girl, Lindsay, came and I was like, hi, I'm Jess. Nice to meet you. She was like, yeah, we've met like 11 times. I had zero recollection of meeting her.
Aww.
And I, of course, make you a joke. I'm like, I drink a lot. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I was
you get like
mortified.
A little shame ping though.
A very big shame ping. She's also one of like the sweetest girl. Like I love her so much. And it's a bummer that I don't remember meeting her so many more times. But I'm going to imagine that I was a fucking disaster the 11 times I met her, because just the way she said it, I don't think she was even trying to like be a dick or anything, but I'm glad that she said it the way she did. I
don't know her. I think that's rude.
She's the best. She's the best. I love her. But I'm glad she did say that because that's something I'll always remember. And I'll always be reminded of like how embarrassing I was as a person. And honestly, it's just like, I'm sure she felt a little bit of disrespect. Like I've met you like 11 times.
Or maybe she thought you were hammered and you wouldn't remember this time either.
Yeah. But I actually, that was in my mind the first time I met her, and she's so sweet and I love her. I adore her.
Right.
But it was so embarrassing. And it's like, I wonder how many times that's happened that I just don't remember because I was already wasted. You know what I mean? Hey, Kate, what is the number one sober tool that we always recommend?
Therapy.
And we have recently partnered with BetterHelp. Do you want to tell everyone what that's about?
So BetterHelp is an online mental health platform. Basically what it is, it's an app that you get access to therapists. So you take their short quiz, they match you with somebody in your area, and it's affordable private counseling for individuals and couples anytime, anywhere. You don't even have to leave your house. You don't even have to wear hard pants.
That is amazing.
And what are we giving our listeners?
10% off. Just go to betterhelp.com/seltzer squad.
Jess, are you listening to any good books?
Right now, I'm actually listening to an Audible exclusive podcast.
Ooh. I'm listening to Blackout by Sarah Hepola.
Oh, I listened to that one back in the day.
I mean, I'm a huge proponent of Audible. I love listening to Quit Lit or really any book. But did you know, Squad, that you can use our discount code to get a free month of Audible? Meaning you get a free book if you sign up.
That's right. Just go to audibletrial.com/seltzer squad and get a free month on us. I actually just signed up myself using it.
I mean, here's the thing though,
I feel her pain.
That like weird interaction, even if somebody does have like malicious intentions, that only happens one time. Like you only re-meet someone sober once, even though you re-meet people drunk many times. So all of that stuff will, like, it's a shared experience. Like that's the other thing that I told Elle is you're not alone. You will have that like weird re-entry into whatever groups that you're re-entering into, but that only happens one time. And as long as you're establishing healthy boundaries, like I don't drink anymore, that weird conversation only happens once, hopefully, and people respect it. And so I think that there are going to be a lot of people trying to go out and do the same things that they were doing pre-pandemic socially. And I hope that at least the squad takes an extra few steps to build in some like pandy tools that they can just remember that like the discomfort may last only for the evening or for that event, but you only have to do it one time or one time per group. And
Yeah.
we all did go through it. Like you said,
Yep.
initially, we just did it in reverse order.
Yeah. And it's going to feel shitty sometimes, right?
Mhm.
Like you're going to be like, oh, like I used to have so much fun with these people. But in the end, even if it feels shitty, I bet the next day you'll wake up and be like, well, I got through it.
Mhm.
I didn't drink.
Mhm.
I'm not hungover,
Mhm.
you know, and hopefully appreciate that you did do it. Because, you know, in early sobriety, even if you're not exactly early, quote unquote,
Sure.
early sobriety, you are, because the world ended for a
Mhm.
while. It was
Mhm.
put on pause. So you're still in early sobriety, and early sobriety is all about putting yourself outside your comfort zone. It's about firsts. You know, sober firsts,
Mhm.
and being uncomfortable a lot, and just kind of always, it's like, what do we say? It's always scared to do something for the first time
Mhm.
sober. But then once you do it, like you said, you don't ever, it's done. You did it. And it's just like a sigh of relief. So I don't
I
know.
think
Do you think, are you jealous in a way that people were able to use the pandemic as an opportunity to get sober and then kind of come out on the other side? Well, I took up knitting and I got sober and I watched all of Tiger King. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or do you prefer the way that you had to do it, just kind of like 100% feet first?
I don't feel jealous of people. I hope people can see it for the gift that it is, that you get to kind of like be this recluse for, like, we had a court ordered, you know, like
Yeah.
recluse order to like stay home. And, you know, like taking a moral inventory is obviously optional, but for the people that did decide to get sober, I hope that they can look at the situation as a moment of, you know, self-awareness, that you got some time to really, without a bunch of other people clouding your thoughts, hear yourself and feel a lot of unpleasant feelings, I'm sure, because it happened, like the uncertainty of the world plus all of these like awful feelings bubble to the surface, and no one knows what's going to happen, and you don't have your primary coping mechanism. So for that reason, like, no, I think that I needed to get my situation happened the way that it should have. And I definitely hid for months as well. I wasn't like court ordered to stay home, but I definitely hid about it for a long time. Obviously, the grace period of everybody staying home and you not having any FOMO because no one was doing anything is helpful. But I think that it's just, what excites me about their situation is that you get to have this conscious choice of who we all get to be post pandemic. And like we all we all sort of get this opportunity to do something different, because you don't have any, like we have an excuse for anything. Like, well, the pandemic ruined my life, so I chose a different life. The pandemic, I lost my job.
Yes.
The pandemic,
yeah,
so I feel like it's OG
is better,
excuse.
right?
Yeah. So you can make different choices for yourself and then present yourself differently if you choose so. And for that, I really think it's a gift. But I do think that there is going to be a lot of relearning. Like, I know for me, I mean, I showed up and met some people and I felt much more anxiety just because I've been so introverted and we've been inside. So there's, you know, an added layer of social anxiety of like, is this too many people? Is everybody being safe? Like, do I look weird? Like, do I smell? Because I can't smell anything because I have a mask on. Like, there's a certain level of weirdness just of being in another person's presence now. But I think what I tell people and what I've been trying to practice now is going into awkward situations mentally first, so that I can practice my reactions. And like, granted, you can't practice everything, but if you know you have a wedding coming up finally or something where everyone's going to be there, you can prepare mentally for that versus, you know, wait to be triggered. So now I would just tell people, like I told Elle, I was like, well, this isn't going to be your first experience. Like, you got some practice. You feel like a failure, but I feel like you're wildly successful. It's all the lens that you're looking at it through. And I was like, what did you expect to happen? You know, also, did you expect to like float in on a cloud of sober righteousness and no one ask you why you're not drinking? And would you have preferred people ignore it altogether? Like, what would be the preferred alternative? Because I feel like you're measuring yourself up against perhaps some expectations, which, are they reasonable? Are they unreasonable? Did people know what they were? Like, you know, and I said to her, like, you're being so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
For just being sober.
I feel like you need to, if this is like the situation that some of our, you know, squad is in, you definitely have to go like have the mindset that it's going to be awful.
Yeah. Set the bar fucking really low.
Really low, because if you don't, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like it's not going to be fun the first time.
Well, and I said to her, like, the alternative is also.
Why would it be the first time?
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, seriously, what? Oh, no, nothing. I'm just saying, like, think about it. Like, why would that be fun the first time? No fucking way. I mean, maybe if you're expecting everyone to congratulate you and think that you're like, oh my God, that's so great. But chances are you'll have maybe a couple people that think that. And then some people that are going to be like, but why? Judgy. You're fine.
Yeah.
Okay. But just like, so like, but like, you're never going to drink again,
right?
Or like not even beer, right. You know? So just, you have to go into it realistic. And like you said, set that fucking bar low, put that shit on the ground.
Yeah. I was like, the only goal was not drink. And you wildly surpassed all expectations for that. So, and then I said, well, flip the coin to the other side. So you go and let's just pretend it was old you, and then you got fucking shit rocked out of your mind because it was you had the same social anxiety, but you decided to drink instead, and then you black out and you don't remember. Yeah. So now you have 5 days worth of anxiety and a hangover worrying about what happened at your first encounter back into the wild. Like, that's the alternative.
Exactly.
Would be me getting fucking shit canned and
blitzed.
Yeah. And then worried about what people thought of me.
Oh, good.
After not seeing me for a year and being hammered. So be nice to yourself, guys. Like, stop being so hard on yourself.
Yes.
And I want to hear about all the weirdness.
I am jealous of y'all.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of them. I'm not going to lie, because it's just part of my struggles in early sobriety, honestly, was FOMO. Mm-hmm. That was I don't know if y'all remember like one of the first episodes, and I think I called myself like Princess FOMO, because it was live and real, and seeing everyone out on Instagram and that for social media, that was my like main thing, was being so jealous and having such FOMO. And you can't really have that, during a pandemic. If you do, you're probably getting angry at people for being so fucking irresponsible and being the reason why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. FOMO died during the pandemic.
For me, that was one of my biggest struggles in early sobriety, was my FOMO. So that's one thing I'm jealous of, but also happy that these people get to not have that in their face.
Totally.
And I just think that so many people have made such huge changes during the pandemic that it isn't, I know this sounds stupid and maybe this is just me in my own head, but I feel like coming out of the pandemic with like new hobbies, new this, new that, being sober isn't as big of a deal. You're like, oh yeah, I got sober during the pandemic. It won't strike people as odd as you just one day randomly like being out on a Friday night, getting shit faced, and like on Saturday being like, yeah, I'm sober now. I just think it's a little bit different. And again, this is just could be my own shit, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people to finally, if they were scared to do it sooner because of what people would think or whatever their own hangups are, I think this is such a lovely gift that the world has given. Like the one good thing that come out of COVID, if you will, is that you get this chance to hide and come out of it a different person and just say that you like just did self-growth and you just decided it's not for you, rather than being embarrassed and peeing someone's bed and saying something rude and then like the next day being like, I'm sober now. Cause then we all fucking know why. We all know it's because of what you did last night. I saw you.
That's a good point.
Sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just something to think
about.
Good
luck out there, guys.
Yeah.
I've like dabbled my toe into the wild, but I still really haven't seen more than 3 people probably at one time. So I don't have any of those experiences yet.
Yeah, I'm still like not trying to go to restaurants or anything like that. I'm trying to like slowly, like when I say slowly, I mean very slowly, introduce myself back into the world. But because I do deal with people every day, I'm not missing that human contact, like someone who maybe like works remotely from home by themselves. So I think it's going to still be like another 6 months before I feel comfortable like being a human being in society again. But anyway, I'm curious for all y'all who have been going through this, because we obviously don't know. We're just making guesses of what it would be like. Let us know in the comments Tell us what it's been like if you've had your first emergence. Is that a word?
I like that.
I'm making up tons of words on this episode, but like re-emerge into like society and seeing your friends. Let us know in the comments, or even send us like an email if you have any questions. Yeah, tips are good. seltzersquadpod@gmail.com. Also, if you guys want to see this, you want to see Kate's crazy scratch across her chest, be sure to join our Patreon. It's patreon.com/seltzersquad.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And you can get like exclusive extra extra episodes and videos and all that good shit. So I don't know. I feel like that's all the shameless promotion I'm going to do for us right now.
Yeah. My parting words are set the bar fucking low. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Low.
Be nice to yourself.
Yeah. And don't forget,
hangovers
suck.
They suck.
They suck.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.